Meron dami altutama lo dang sramal maring asulem mal masaw retial klobo le yakal sil sel sabela president ma cabinet ni kandaktra presidensial press conference altutau Yonite dam Dios como seguir rogul mo sodel el al time dam Dios por blakatak le dam Dios el mora rogul adalo rengs e bol mugopkal le bol modang sang klemra angara al maurior el gimoru le dam Dios aquí otro sitio al time arul imam sering argau muktigai argau mol mu traula bongle la press conference al tutau kai ong mam odong sam ngarang klele Jesus Kristus osaplam amen.
mal waiseng mal wil tutau so kan utel te alle got el ule bugusu sarai bedul maraklai marubugul belau bilung ebiraklai mar basil belau President Baules marugul senators Speaker Anastasio marugul delegates Chief Justice Iraigalau marugul Speaker Ganai marugul delegates Chief Justice Iraigalau marbek justices Vice President, our ministers, the tutau, the governors, speakers, other belao, el sel belao, ayang al moro hotcharigi, mga rekrela blur belao. Mal ungil tutal mora other media. Akmanira se eling normally ngari press conference ergid, di le ultuir se lokoram le tugobet sel meeting la mungela Deputy Secretary Landau, nartel. He was only here for 1 hour at the airport. No sé del Mitro Miguel ni ma other olbi lama dirigal rubul belao and then en mirail mangada mrenga sulil el gongien merel al sils mangada paso ese ora di sogal mo recognize other media artia ma ngaria Miss Sungyama Miss Olgaril Miss Raklay, elang kata ngalday tulob ka alilay ma faith ma summer tiamral en komdir rogui ora masano komnatiti ang irmão nom da selmera press conference. But that's a woman power advice. But namral marudal kom ngartel al tutau. Diri gatso mo recognize sa ngaria tablo group ng artiang ani EQPB represented by Miss Alenza Fleetwood. Madiregal otilak langar. Rectidule aiga, mal tokom rule ebom introduce yourselves. Di arua bomuleng di sogal kora mata sabe bira tokoy. Ako tululeng gidam denge Irene was at this time of the year and kadam sadra yo sangang rablur bela. Dol tirakra process I just want to help people understand the budget process. Every year I yell them saying performance budgeting. I gave others and more olbira galulaw. Or April. Usually, April, July, Albira should be conducting public hearings. Girela budget. Final budget, Sabitrin Morolbira is the first regular session of July. So, Seldor Tirakra on July 8th, they get older see a budget Mora, Albira Galula. Although Tirakra process, rather Albira Galula have an agreement process, even years ang House ang orari. Odd years ang Senate ang orari. So another House ang ilura July 8. On August 15 at nombre gaurerir submitting in mora Senate. Menmutra el alsils Senate al America budget at mura second reading early el alsils at mamlaring in third reading. Di sogal mo highlight abibira to la gira del momdengel girel tel proposal ng Senate. First of all, it's late. We should have been working much harder, much faster. I know there's a lot of arguments. Lo ay sarada Senate ito kasi agot rule and the audit report. So let's be very clear. Ndiri ka tal time ra history ra blur belaw. El moment sa audit report el mrura budget. You don't need the audit report and mrura budget. What you look at is the actual expenditures, my income, which you receive quarterly reports that give you that information. Audit report, just to give you a processor audit report, is done cell blah blah cell physical year. So, for example, under a processing, you want to have that audit report at 2024 finished at June 2025. Why is that important? Say help tigal partners make sure wa say kudur tirak laigel ul omi telaw do. It doesn't help us analyze wa say telaw do that available. No. It helps us sell otil wa say mlewil omi telaw do mlewil au spare. That's the purpose of an audit. So we all know, and we nakanama motet and sa adri advice wa say kada tilura COVID siyam the first problem rigid. Ongeru isel kombali ne provide audit and merablur belal which was Deloitte. Amiral. So now it's a new company. And just to add to that, one of the things that's required is we need to pay cell auditing firm to audit. It's not free. We have to pay. It's actually included in the proposed budget, which the Senate apaiswal dilera payment tercel payment and more audit instead of dealing with audits that we think are so important. Blue Miguel tells us we need to prepare the audits. We all know what we need, but we need funding. We need not only funding to pay for the audits, we also need to hire people and make sure that we have people all over lobbies. You know, one of the biggest challenges, Irene, Jennifer, why? Salaries have been depressed and they're low. Cost of living went up in 22 and 23 significantly because of COVID, because of the Ukraine war. We know that. And partly cost a little bit to PGST. Again, those were factors that led to the increase in the cost of living. That's why minimum wage. So it went from $4.25, now it's going to go to it went from $4.25 to $5 for the government. And this year, it's supposed to be raised another 10% to the other government. The private sector are $4.25 to $5. It doesn't address sel ngal alola bal mat mok ra tan aklir. Gida de kata control ara labras. Ara labras al control in California. Sel da control ara la gugaw. Madio ka lendigit. Kadmora elma ndi ara labras de kata control ni. Mara la lu de kata control ni. What we do control at the side was au do dir adang ungil ngas el motelang el make sure and keeps up with the cost of living. So, IMF, Arili Omsu, I was saying, one of your biggest problems, you're losing professionals, real skilled sensei, doctors, police officers, and educators. Their wages have been compressed. So, in this budget, it was important that we have enough money. El pay increase 10% across the board of the government. That's already in the law. And allow us to pay what professionals need to get paid. A reality will be the proposed Senate version retracts all that. Actually, it goes exactly backward to what we said we were going to do last year. So we need to, and partly I guess, a complaint. But we should stick to the facts. The economy is growing. So last year it grew by 12%. This year it's growing by almost another 8%. And we expect it to continue to grow. But it takes all of us working together, not pulling each other down. And I think we're spending a lot of time pulling each other down, complaining, instead of looking at the positives. What are ways we can help people? So, we know, Luase, we made the most difficult decision that we had to make 2 years ago, actually 4 years ago, when we decided to reform the tax system. But it was the most important decision that we made, and we're already seeing the results for cell system. What? All their taxes back when it comes to income tax. Middle income, part of their taxes back. So trigel highest earners pay more in their share of the contribution and more. Pay more. And who are those people? Kamam maradrol bill. But that's a good thing. Who pays more? So that was an important policy that was made, and we see the results. Today, it's been effective in helping people. There's no question, PPUC has issues. Ako misal kami report ng sa a CASP. Kung a CASP? A CASP. Siyang leto ko rin all time. Hindi mo lakal all time. Hindi ka tamsa ko nila lang. What we've been doing is trying to find solutions. There's no question yung blal sila albangani. So what has happened? Katong ilaw do ang pact ng ilaw do to pay down debt, lo label pera CASP, mandikal sal affect our other ablo. Tial nasa clear ala sur. This is a decision gida amneswada ang wheel sewer system back in 2016, 2015. Almelme ayam katong ila alone but it's incomplete. And we have now found grant money to complete it. And then IPP, tell solar. Solar is another issue. The reality, yes, there's been issues, problems. Has it been good for Palau? It's helped Palau in two ways. One, at least it gives us a stable cost of power. Why say? Rela contract 14 cents. Yes, ang anigel was saying waste or ndeka. So that pushes the effective rate up to 20 some cents, which is almost exactly the same as diesel. So ndrigabo the realizer sel was saying mang tarala dengi because tial el solar lengasong sa battery. So what has been done? Australia, amla kong yan maskita 16 million, mo maara battery, mo solve cell problem. So, was the IPP, does it have problems? Sure, it's not perfect. Are we fixing it? We're doing everything to fix it. Kada there's just some things I want to make sure that clearing in estimation or the budget the swela a senate or sendekal gida no mas aududir other. And one of the things gida omrani I say that's the worst thing you can do. Gida am lemring lawyer o siga sisabala aududra compact. Gida lemring lawyer o siga grants el helper tel below. Gida lemring lawyer el reform a tax system again. Now that we have the resources, why stop the process? So, one of the things in the last 5 years, because this will be the 5th year, a calculation or ayosang angargid, esel kita dililu aseng ketemu korgani abletang songsri Sel dia se kadmo korgani akme delo shishi. Or ngarba bersel kita dia se kadmo korgani. Esel du lokem dari abl ol ngario or sel gira du lokem dari. So what has resulted for the last 5 years? Instead of saying ngaria surplus every year. Masel do say talma la audit report therefore and dekal sa amalong maraygal numbers. We've given them the balances. We actually have cash sitting in the bank. Ataraygal ludo del dosado rasem de rabang. I'll give you an example. Sell cyclical reserve fund. Timin sa adani lo say ngaria report temle lo saying 8 million. Yes, our other finance came up with the report was saying ngaria 8 million el ngara cyclical reserve. Se base sel momesra tial budget read every year ngaria amount appropriated and more a cyclical reserve. When they gave them a report later, they say, no, 25 million and gira del lodo care sell mle surplus on certain years. May give the surplus amotmak, and that's why it's 25 million. So if anything, it shows that there's more money. There's not less. So ngana kadamadak trin. Ngana makadilay ragi adigil ngi makomitment tri den marada blula say kadon nga sa audit. There's no reason to delay. SL excuse ra saying telmal economy, there's more tourist, economy is growing. To say was saying telmal economy is a false statement. So I think what we need to do other media is talk about the facts. I say just give you another example. The masadra drug problem rablur Nga malo moral was it's a number one priority. O mesra budget read. Ikadamna increase audo the mabla bulis. All time and clove vacancy officers rablur we cannot find. There's over 200 rural government del said del fill and degar 200 real seals. Why? They don't feel like they earn enough el-bulis. They don't feel like they earn enough el-nurse. They don't feel like they earn enough el-sensei. So, if we're really serious about fixing problems, one of the major problems is salaries. So, pay people more money. Kita ulo kadam loro mringel mudayar udo del me, amem kadam bi help other lift them up. Kada masada policy issues. Mundekal sorry masada pension my SS. Hindi wa masa version or tirang mura policy issues. Simple things like a grant let's say grant ra blue ramrigel mail girela tora health and education. I'm not going to require the appropriation or all bill. Man kadolngi tararad mududi regi damem kod appropriate ududi ra baby rarad. No, that make sense to koy. But sorry micromanage the executive branch. Ay kakakaros ringok, we need to work together. Solve ay gel albang la blue belaw. Help rather belaw mo ilaklangan tir instead of muru lagel tuming muru olibsong hindi kasi drugut mo klangar alet. And then it's late. On top of that, it's late. Hindi ko kasi, tapas rin lang, kadiri ka mura free, makulit ito kasi, mre adalaw they're supposed to give the president at least 15 days, lomes na budget. Tigyan kalbis kita imol, seals. Jadi, plan lo set di imol durok ring May, but anyway, a shutdown na government, bela mo gira Senate. I think that's what we need to understand. I'm just preparing another Abdul Girela reality. This responsibility falls on the Senate. I just want to share a couple graphs. One, report that was done by the graduate school. There's seldoru legal policy decisions maigal expert malbet sengmong al-adara atora subela geisai. So this gives you a chart lo tilo say I get saying real wages. Sell ludo de los sugriat sel value sen uchiri mlamang at mlang mas over the last el telara. Dia otil wase mlamang at. And we need to raise it up. That's exactly why we've raised 2 minimum wages, and we're continuing to raise it up of the other government because their real wages have fallen. So, close to tell lang area hirim katam last modiro saying so do that. We need to help them earn more so they can benefit or sila grow their tial gaizari. That's they gal sila dem das show by. Ngire rom das or other marine aurora vacancies. Just to give you an idea, Selva saying GDP ra blur belo. Sel measure sel rangalela geyser ra blur belo. This year, emlengalak ra edel dartel million. That's real GDP. Selva bora real GDP, the highest it was 2016, and it was 292 million. So, our real GDP, amlangalak karsegidel el time. So if you use that as a measurement, real wages should also be back al more segidel time. From 2016 to 2019, kadul danganem. But so that's why you have to go to the highest point. So say real GDP, sell actual, sell the country dollars, GDP rid amlangalak ra edel dartel million, it's approaching 400 million. That's why the amount of collections that we see has gone up. So I think it's important that we just share some facts so we know lo sa katigiri elger. Ultimately, ang umra lo sa kita agir mo kakul mangaria of course a request tergid el more olbira galulaw ngaria ang reasons why we're doing it, and most importantly sel so del mruri a help ra adlo uriol mri lo uriol man sila me baba udir motto masomrial kier bela da al marablu amriger. That's what we've been fighting for, and that's why this would be now the third wage increase in the proposal. So enough about the budget. Doring on sa other senate pasri at mutel momitir mother house sumo clean mawil el girer other belaw taglom da so del toy di mom da sura other belaw tinamri loro rabek sils el gumra lo setamal majority other belaw sils. So maloy se ngariat first more sel proclamation. Proclamation girela ozone. Okay, toka binigar tutalak man. Okay. Elal legot tulurior. Okay. Sira got tulurior, ruera gural moralugile. Nga kamle signer sel National Ozone Day. Gidam nga se ozone sel gora amle krabluladel protector gider sel misisi el DDL asils. Man close to 3 dos bakring. And gidam dengelo se kada albangara to climate change linya gotel gidel narayuns are most impacted. Among sel le declare September 16 in which ang arulurior National Ozone Day ra blur belaw. Autisel gida rumudel gida sabakle tialu gela klang gid abangela bululad masabak la yerto so kan tial masa alzina bo biskida koratib summary giret tel to
ma Vice President ma cabinet ringi kamal sartal te alal me o ay se gida lura ramra EQPP. So sige that Tuesday, and like I'm mentioning a president in September 16, I recognize the Lula Darogi and World Ozone Day. So tell proclamation and no say the president signing it a Monday. I will go in solidarity with the rest of the world. They're going to celebrate the sige that sees. So World Ozone Day is every year. This is what they need every year. So you can see a real at the community with activities throughout the Blue Belau. So el alir será Tuesday. Yagi kumle mrula roadside campaign, nemle ngani social media campaigns, ma radio talk show ngani OSS. Kung kita background the World Ozone Day is ang kada celebrate sa signing ng Montreal Protocol ng 1987, which is a global agreement to phase out harmful substances in malmal ozone layer. LRA king koran itilgibel togubet leng 40th anniversary sa Vienna Convention for the Protection of the Ozone Layer. Magimal di mreng asulia ro kul others el parte tir el wal koran no ulmang no se celebrate with everybody else er sel seals. So officer ko mamra EQPB officer gida EQPB oriol implement gida regulation el wal milangar tel Vienna Convention el monitore ol ngayas khos leather gida substances el malmal ozone layer. So it's good news to say that igal rere the roguil ada blul ada wal not help tel ozone will recover. So agidi malokol morar no say give the roguil for the mindful as individuals. In every little thing helps. So maybe in that el group effort or office effort, but like each person has a little bit that they can do el smisi already the roguil. And then get the protect ourselves from del cleal, the ma the elasils, ma balwat, the ma blula. Sulang.
40 years, hindi ka naman sa result rin. But they remember, tiyatora freean, ayay dolal, sila air condition. Yung kadamla freean 22, and more 405. Anyway, kada continual change na kada siga ayay niya, dekal tatingit tiyale, mga wal osaba karida di elasil sa mga. I think that it's ngungil reminder kita say we can make a difference. Together we can make a difference. Was it? Better together. Okay. Sula. Kada borsel ongerul kada man mga sulir trigal lumugya dalal tutaw triga otilak langar. Trigang artiang kita amo declare el almandra September and mo November. El buil kita wa dos bakri ada gira la aditil malmal artir. Ospe ma dire lo spela el makitel niya sisi el gar el sil toma la klangar artir overdose like el opioid whether fentanyl or tramadol ay gidre tokole dire lo ngir gid matiang close to trelling kita gira del madingi gal toy man se edel masab akle emerer sarar adam degal el boring mang tia almutel smisi iser kita amsada tokora adrax kadamra lo spare ay gidel de belwa otilak langar marbek al adar belal mot mage masab akre gida emerer ser gida gal toy ono se urgida lo mkar gida mdega دلوت الموري. It's really a whole of government approach and a whole of community. So, دلوت تيال مستير تيال تيوا. لا هذا متممو يرتيال proclamation and مريد. أنا ديفيد موسيس. غانغارا سيل program manager سيل community guidance center. ما رنجيل مدرغ ما باستور سانداريو. Tigang ourselves behavioral advisory group. Madrigal Rusian Kotaro, program manager at trauma and crisis unit. Matamo ora amaskit tial proclamation. Magadamom dangali. Sulam. Sulam. Tingin talara. Thank you.
Malungil tutaw Mr. President, Maadal Rogoy. We're presenting the Presidential Proclamation for Self-Harm Prevention, Opioid Overdose Prevention, and Recovery Awareness Months. The theme, as you said, is Otilak Langar, which means life anchors. Whereas the Republic of Palau holds as its highest values the strength of community, the dignity of every person, and the spirit of Kle'ibelaw, our shared responsibility to care for one another. And whereas self-harm has brought heartbreak to many families, leaving behind loved ones with grief and unanswered questions, yet through compassion, awareness, and open dialogue, we can bring hope, healing, and life-saving support. And whereas opioid misuse and overdose continue to endanger the health and the future of our people, but through prevention, education, treatment, and community action, we can reduce this harm and protect the well-being of our islands. And whereas recovery is not only possible, but is a journey that reflects courage, resilience, and the power of community support, reminding us that every life holds value and every person deserves the opportunity to rebuild and to thrive. And whereas by observing self-harm prevention, opioid overdose prevention, and recovery awareness together, we affirm our commitment as a nation to stand with those who struggle, to honor those we have lost, to celebrate those living in recovery, and to strengthen the bonds of family and community that define Palau. And whereas it is through unity, compassion, and the Palauan tradition of caring for one another and coming together in times of need that we can break stigma, extend kindness to the healing journey, and ensure that no one in our islands feels alone in their struggle. To explain more on what Otilaklangar is, I'll pass the mic over to Tikon Ringil.
Tutai Presidenta, ako nga alega wa kusada sel tukoy lo Otilaklangar, elwal dimertia. Elangan niya tukoy lo Otil, engan Yaklangar. Ang Otil awal tukoy sel waya ko obi ang armen mal ko ya tiang ang loya Otil mendiakal is. Tabali mendiakal por oroy, mendiakal ri segi Otil. Yaklangar gitu. Bangwal tu lah sengklub lelak langar, ulim dah. Atap lelak langar rigid akli belau. Tianga sebed loridi asukum mendiakal taru. Akli belau rigid au kadat mak ekakul ekayngasiu. Bangwal tial lela bi ay wilam lo say take a village to care. Tianga ngari atablol tokoil nga sel. Ngari nga mul mo mes. Gal tablol tokoy kakro sa bulbul. Omungul la involve ra omrul ma omlokoy. Ngaraw ul makmul ay say. Selbum kodong ang ndak tura say ta. Palaku akwase pastor palaku. Ako lang nga kasi vice president ta. Okay? Sige di ako oti siya lomungul el ngaring. Tiya lomungul na di kadil lomolokoy. Hindi rin ngar omrul. Letokor belaw, adim nga di iya meaning ringi, a sound ringi, and change a meaning ringi. For example, Ali and hello. Ali and warning. Mali mo. Maset pungul ng kalat, ang girek lo seungil tutaw, elmet medem. Ang yaw oti selo say, nga kamul ng kak. Lektu, ungil tutaw. Ang wal kasi parang hindi mapastor say, what's wrong with you? Okay? Say gidi omungul. Beto kal involve ringi. Okay? Adol malaklalo hindi ka omungul. Ang gire dal to para balu, hindi ka dong rot. Mru higel mungul. Okay, siya omul. Ito ka involved rin omul. Ala siya omul. Elakad mo lang mes. Ela lang mes auldaso. Masih? Lang mes auldaso. Kapos kami atal example Auldaso aul mga mes auldaso. Kadang ok tiang esola nga marmaraat president tamit mo kadang ok kumkisi mo lang te alam mo sa. Ngabal bulak lang mes ngay gel ngaring ilkaw el malim saat kakamit to self. Kasi ka-sacrifice. Kiyom muna ka mangkangin ikali odoy nga kangulmsang Monggoli, kasi mamuri nga kamal. Kasi, niya di akalo dengel, kasi nga kasore. Hindi malang mestre ni, lagi na kadar bela, akot del favor customers, alo bang tekes. Kita nga dengel, siya ungil bar, maungil gop, maungil baratong, ang arablay lomte adra, hindi akaligid. Kasi, ay gagil tablot to koy selpang mo ngay kamado el la society lengia del tarmo embrulay gat toy alak lang mesri terkli belaw enemy ko mal masawrat ti al
Almutul malungit tutaw. Ako te kama maradara behavioral health advisory council ma chief behavioral health ngatengi president obanggel hospital makau marogul adar bela minister of justice el lowrior el girel osab akle laklangar adar ngalaget mara adar belau mendiak matom ra annex lo maral me se ya borrede la mame Yagi konge il tonge tatemam il girel telurior. Manglam ui wil tokor American maktimo samurai sringi tokor belau. Ngora moringi ya understanding rar adal oreng semar adal melat kel sori il me obengge de kadat magan meru telurior. Masel il kor ome sringi masengungi la bolom sodel tiarro girel el Proclamation na kumula siya o rula tol bulu el girelam ta rabasul lomru selabor niya mata rabasul to rabalu endigal dil obisa president madigal drestal adam ngotmok lorngi minister obiang namugede imol bulun magisel mo oral loa imaderngi masang magatmok lurior el mol qabaya diagal girel magatmok lol to raklangar adal maral metrakosi mangko setay sel got el klisi rabwai Loya kaigel klemeriar mava ala rengrir ara adlol tirak sel kli belau. Sel tele dar adar belau el motmak de gaki der eol tagaw ang aled egay ngeseu rangra el masabak aklangar destang mardestargid. Idar adar belau amasatyang el got ngarbaban ngara el gerresel aklangar regid ar adar belau. Milisi rabulwad yom tabe erak langar rata matang lultui rareng regid ladar belau. Egay ngeseur tia lobrao den ngral el mo garreo rata matang. Malaway say. Eng mlamor ngi abur rareng ratulungal emlato mal larang rira rongal emlam goto trirar betigar ngut madigal masao del ger rarang rira a. Eng dingul tui rakluub maklaw ngay maungil el dura dronglet maklaw marargid eng sebedel ngu omelat moosop ak kel gogarak langar ar adra raro ramakitelgar sel dura ramakitelgar kel makitelgar arrueda adar belo ya se direk kel makitelgar el waya opioid malub eng bebir rabadenge lagar el musisi el sebel tomal labadenge awaya blal leborngi ol dirgor lus pelel ngla tomal labadenge rarat maklugu gurtif moya ka osap akla maungil lomsu eng sebet kidar at Lungua bagas raurior, el mo mangsada edirek el mo masabaak laklangar, mengbiakal matamal aungir klangar rekit, ar adar belau. Trigel ngar al sel aigal el toir el al time a os pera toir au guru el mosab ir el lemuk tel ngu adim lak pisi el abdengi rangaramu. Masel bor seigi eng dia kadil toir a otu telak pisi el abdenget eng direk el lomra el tamatang asap del gai ngeseu el gasi si ira al sel el mool gabai emelisi ira toir anges Rabalu madras talat el mol ngaseu lom klat ra rabangel tial makitelgar. Ang mosa el ngarangi areng ra tamatang el kau klat ka rabangel maus el tial makitelgar malu ngol sesis el ngoyulagar el diagal girer el moktois ra al sirabangel. Malawai sei yang sabeed dan momasang au ngir klangar arangalget tatak labasei. May malakador toridi aklangar arangalget rangar matat. Ida sabeed lot ngaklityang. Abelau akmal sabeed lot ngaklityang. Abol tarungut. Diyos polo mukal tangat tarigida mabulwat. Ipo takay wari ka im. Ida sabak tiya maral mel tel arol. Man masula.
Maraulubong le makmal di ngutal te alle meranga sula me presidente tal te alle nos amam el metro rakamiu ikada magut maklital al signing a proclamation ang maring lurior di celebal a imorir atrogui mengel gotel ngarbabal el other terrogil belur belau e ngadmo smi arangud e samaria kumugodo bang a blessing a president e mga tmoklay ka lurior mang smisi awredet sel ko mo last tal tigingam ay omiting el masada tang ako tamna important tak mangilal mga nga patas len kidal balur belaw a odios mang sel number 1 el badas el gumda seng moro do mitang maroko lurior a chan 316 ngarabal tigaren bat kilar ngula dios au ul. It is about him and he is love. It is his love. Aul makadamrulay kang rule for personal gain. Mal ubeng ngarang klel. Kadamrulingi mal yung trabat kilarong ula Dios because of who he is. El mlekot tultong tingang aligel el reconciler gidan mo ringi. So chan 316 bolbada sa gidan el alsils ebo the sign. Ego man masulang.
Proclamation number 23-43 self-harm prevention, opioid overdose prevention, and recovery awareness months. Kadang mereka sulit tiga rubah kalau si ilmu itu orang oidi tial matokor belang mal mobla tak. Sulang asal sidak lihat omlang mes omul. Saya kau tu cloud sobel umral waseng cloud tu trail bodoh dongali menghelp pergi dari el sisi sel keltar rengar ada orang el gut makliab belbad el mongil belum. Saya dos perin. Umral sulang. Era el silseng 18 September. 18 date. Sulang. Okay. Oh, sudah masuk. Oh, right. Hah? Merolong? Okay. Continue till press conference ini merada. Di soal mo update rasa kita of course kita melihat bos sebelal triple time kita kurang long yame. Di soal update tegel seselom rolet. Digo trula insya Allah di mutial tial waigul go Rusia. Ya temral di mereka asula la adios rakta bagla la balwat. Isi la badanya mak ungil belul kita kira alsel. Ma beltigren. Kita bebera time kada malam tu soseng bring laklangar ablur belau. Di lilai sel da poragil bebera ablur kita mau understand rase ngara bring laklangar. You know mo kita anu golak mestri ar to langal dia langal school. Gigre langal. And you know that's so important. Langal ka giring school. Agingara I went to Tuvalu. Tuvalu agigre lions. Sede kam gadidari. Tamasang al trial fill-in ra ablurir leng alagay mel. But anyway, akno Tuvalu leng sel leaders meeting al gira la PNA. Se wala al dabera igal al blura Pacific right now 50% ratunal niya dos pering al sablulat are caught within those PNA countries. Igadi eitel belu. Bela al molmutra Nauru, so it's called the Parties to Nauru Agreement. Es el dangar asauden en the of course include Ragiribas en asauden Lugilei ma Solomon ma Tokilau ma Tuvalu. Le clol el other cell meeting Minister Victor Raúl Munguía Galmón se lo hace mgara bodo al del Pacific e igal tial gida ngal tanga teringil ngigir murtra al sela abelwad. Tiam mgrada ngwa klol ne uchiring. How do we get more value out of it? Mgrada processing the producing misal more export ringid malagal el tobo del mora tarablu lu biker kangira bebirala. Ngwa klol gadagera al sela. Tial tayo gida kira al sel. You know, seguid el PNL daria meeting era blur bela ora 2009 será el president Toribio. O sea, en 2010 sel mlani seluldaso hace I remember President Toribio hace kidamo wa opegara atoratuna. OPEC countries only control 30% ratuna. Kita control 50%. So we should dictate rasa magara tetelela auspela tuna mang. Selungilaisa, if you go back our history, sel time egel dasing fishing fees malu ngaran mo regal blue amle 50 million. El timing almost 500 million. So siya krisi el sel dadak. And that's why important tagay el meeting regal blue motmak because kado ba imol toy imo dura regal maklol blue le sel dilgid el tat mal gora diwa sergid. Di sel dadak el ludel Pacific, that's our power. Regal nomrex el meeting na tuna kada mlora blura Fiji mlania tamlas kida adra EU el modadu el promote a business el mera egal balwat yakmil sang algeme Ivory Amlarse. It was good to see her. Dire kal mesaygal betokal ukloru laigal bebira yun sa Pacifical. You know, kita adekab export. Diselo bora Fiji, bora Solomon, bora tiga exporter wa kava. Kava is a $1 billion business. Coffee, chocolate, vanilla. We have to look at ways to get exports. Tuna, of course, Solomon Islands, they have a tuna cannery. In PNG, they have tuna canneries. I get export to Europe. One of the things, Dilia say, Lura Europe zero tour, terre free in Morega Calora Pacific mo. Idam de sa Amrigela, Angaria, Atari free in Morega Calora Pacific more Amrigel. Same Mara Victoria, it say, Berga by the Sender Morvella to send more Amrigel and Zero Terry free. But no matter what, exports are important. We need to find ways and Moria product. Tortob, Masngal container, Maskogi Seleme, Ariak Talon Masing Emrain. After say, director Masri and Mamudadora, sell Mill Ups Conference, military legal operational conference. Under Admiral Paparo, Indo-Pegam, he invited me to speak. Angaria, mun mesing unusual top the Lila was President Rablu say we're at war. Okay. Halik Poxodi was sent the missiles in Merbelao. I got told Terramania, tariff war, Angaria, cyber warfare, Angaria. So I refer more. I get already them like experiencing. We've been hacked in many different ways at Seldomes. Most likely, when we talk about not mura immigration, not mura customs, not mura hospital, finance, all of those cybersecurity attacks are part of cybersecurity. We have to protect ourselves from those attacks that are happening. Tourism has been weaponized. Seblada, pelil to koy Saya makamadal tangani alilay dirigal usual timing kidam danya sa are easy sel wal kren sel ablula abluat angari abe ablul de kalongul ri tunguni blura sina al dilira dimral mesois adilu asen de kalgirin al sabla akren sel ablumamal blula de kalgirin blul de katuru kemeu et temrul excuse ndi temruri Ay kita ado mesel tretal ngari ra chela blura. Ndeka mesels, ndeka aboes mangaranti. That's the say black refer mori. But sel Milaps conference adiregal kada trial help mo understand that I get challenges especially when it comes to security. Magrada kay nga seu whether drugs and mesois bluat, how do we work together? How do we strengthen law enforcement? How do we protect each other? They're all threats. Ngaria makamadal lomdas from missiles my boys but ngaria makamadara drugs and mesois brawla bulwat ngaria makamadara cybersecurity. There's economic warfare. These are all types of security threats that we need to be diligent ngiran ngaria luud and CC protect rigid mung giram lisi isel luldas elwase aklisi ela bulad mung mol man ken ngarabudo Silda saying rules-based order. Say tu iram sisi la ligitat magi ortirak la. Sel bolak sayid. Enya aula tol gorior man kamadan mer gitar rogoy. So after say Gloria tele del mora ablura Solomon Islands el mo attendera PIF makmal milsa misra clima alilay ngarsay sulan narsel cover tial PIF kidam lem dengel wase tarayel goram le klol issue dimlagar adrayel bebir ablul mera PIF amle wana klol swadra wase tial PIF sel gandak tayal meeting rigid etwata tigil giril me alme wangara teterir alme ma Solomon Islands of course amle requested to say bailagar adrango del blul me dil gid el mom sa dayal issue rigid. And I think one of the things Mlaria concern or other say Taiwan ang wangara sel modru uler al sel tial al PIF. Sel no tergok la say sel agreement tra 1992 malmon malway say dekal change. At Taiwan amal mon mal development partner. In fact, if we communicating list ay blue, el tira amle contribute, el more sel dasing Pacific Resilience Fund. Taiwan is listed, el mo contribute 3 million and more sigid el fund. Diregal el mletara sodra say sel tiering system. Se lo se metigal restra partner seguida almeng wangara teterela bel participate. Umbeso sa sel close to trela, sumar partner seguida me ngagiril me emomru la yel nia aungir rigid. Degal mem long sangar gidel msada sorir gidel Pacifica motmag MCC ase tiagida somam ome you're going to be a strategic partner at gida teterela muna ser komam el meter sel 2050 strategy gidel when al tor education and yagida som muna ser gamri al tora healthcare and tiagida al tora investment in shipping and airline. This is what we need you to help us here. So umralo ase a PIF was productive kada gida ablur bela mo hostra PIF rel al merrak. We're looking forward to hosting everybody ra ablur bela. Klol longale mo require gida rogut magal al maruri. The one of the things that we really wanna work together on gida ma Blue Australian was brought up in the PIF. It's important for them to hold COP 31. Musel focus on Mera Pacific. And how do we get the whole Pacific to be 100% renewable? The technology is here. We need to have a plan. We need to look at all those pathways to get there. Lastly, Sera Tuesday, mo celebrate cel 50th anniversary or 50th Independence Day ablura lugile. And congratulations to President Marapem ablura lugile. Epse ba imla edapel mo betok trigal sulang aradra PPUC. Yalang yang maram leka, namu dia kata live. Okay, sulang kada mau subesera milde badengi indi kada mal congratulate ablura PNG. Course amna tokar partner segi dangar sem kodok mla adu lo menteri ratara amlar se angel deputy secretary Landau rera meeting amlangi ma admiral Paparo amle andaktra meeting am Pacific leaders ma minister of justice amlo sel ngarsel am teri dereng adamler bela luk mo open sel EAG meeting rablur bela and I had to go back serak ponge one of the things amlo se del rulia no se dra mungkin ngaras kohil me merder bela ya mura marshal. So kada mereka sudah kada mereka rasko girtin lagar dide. Ada waktu hitchau ride. But I'm not saying that ada one of the things that close to trail ada dua ramgela secretary Landau ramgela ayel gida albangan tora a Veterans Administration aspiration or gida la best hospital security rabluad. We talked to him about now batetel dolora unita ngesra abluram regel mutis misia aurora FBI madi rablur belau. We need more. We need to ramp it up. Maya partra mesa de discuss. Corsa atra bligre la ngari selon trir. Ngari sel ora le meeting on tra leadership. Mung tiraw daw de suela leadership rablur bela lo ase sel lultebdea luldas ora atra abluram regel mel el great trigal asylum seekers el merablur belau ade alse drgonye mang another amlia blur amrigel ase nsia del mal adadu mamle discussion ase nga yim dinge gel sebak krengar kami galel ngaria rael se drogi ungi trigal adel mea el al timing kidam dinge sengare el lolum el tela el adra other blue el quiera blur belau el di white trigal adel moso is vera blur amrigel lo siga uro mang kalel ngari ate al المومسرت سيد التقال التريال هذا هذا مسؤول أبلور أمريكا نريد التقال الموير رجيد الموير التير and maybe everybody can win سيا أمري request رجي من meeting ريالي لما ترى أولبيرا غلولاو House Senate ما ربوغل بلاو I'm not sure كلوا سيا best path forward سيا create a working group malbol tira malmol mulo mesri lo say is there a way we can help each other in a way that it's a win-win for everyone Mr. Victoria ospera adra shares Maria matoga adra ospera adra attraction you know these are people that maybe can work in those fields so one way say the help problem wadamo ترى ذا دليل مال مبلغ تقل and I think everybody agrees انت قال سيلا تقدر غير يدير criminals and مرا بلور ذلا and ترى I think are clear on that so كذا مرا تبغى له ويلا بالواد pristine and I told them لا سي كمان ما أقول هذا بلا يسوي سوى بغرمام أيام مثلا إسواتيني ما سؤال ساوث السودان يوم ده سوسن سيجيد يا جماعة بريستين يبقى يملوس راليست المراد هذا قلب السيس برابلومام ما لقى ما بتتري هذا بيصير برابلوم بس ده that's not the intent أبلورام رجلا أقول نتيجة تيل program ري أسوال أو تين مرابلو هذا متريال هذا نقول سلا أبلورام رجال تيرا ديم لقال لول تيرا قرلا ما سويس برابلوم سي غنيا process الدوغي وي ما سويس برابلورام رجال and this is not the right process. So, anyway, I'm sure there's lots of questions. So, Mr. Tel Mutogera, Geradang Vice. I don't know some question.
President, medic pili imong beto ka karera na medial merkao may beto kul maklaw issue blang raise. May tiagi tadi imol gumlotat sa takwera budget medic pili tiagi del la diak sal impact trial rest ministry rabulur belaw. In the Ministry of Health and Human Services, what the law of federal grants, those pay, lomdo, there are other urior. Toguli, tira urior, public health, paigal gagros, the urior, lolong se origid and lisi at public health. Gida matangel was at yagid already existing a law, legirel longas October 1st, and girel mas ay lududira at ragabilmente robui. Yal kuk gumisringi ngar matadar elang blalo Russia Senate ngwaya bon stop sayid tamo dileringi ratarra hindi kuk ngarngi silom so dela kola waya bon replace ringi lo bakola problem gisang ngarngi gel exception ngar ansel blalo 2 alwaset tirgay gid ludud ra federal grants tirgay gid adi akbol mu sayid al kola ongerum tirgel tira foreign workers adireko dia lowre rakapalmentary git adia ko mo say gidan pol akmo igang le Ministry of Health and Human Services akot to karat are foreign workers especially nurses lowre ministry git el tira provide akmal cloud to service rabulur belaw then dia enough for nurses git al other belaw ong erong et yail lakli was public health workers tira udu da federal grants tirgay gid man direct dia ka bolmu tigid al kola al sukum maaway say mang tiagida albira lulaw Senate especially la mo session al afternoon makmalo der say tiagida lo tigil was say please mo mesa gid tial marolam al sukum malmolo way say mal maklual impact ngi rakuk Ministry of Health and Human Services agyolingit talwasya kami salmongil makital makatmok le Bible marnya ko clone impact ringi adverse impact ringi morar atraurior tiagi del ministry utira malmru raklo lurior tol maseurgi darat tuwera guru rablu belaw musulang president.
So agina del most modi aplo la kola is cost of living allowance amok te kaniya se kadon nga sa kadon nga sa akara ang yesul morarat man sin mga punaklat ng akil. Material 10% raise is exactly a COLA. It's a cost of living adjustment. So
Federal grants di aksal maring exact figure akti waseng akme del mongar sayid ang 10 million al support ra ministry.
Oy, please. Sulam. Nasa kumore.
The questions that you, Mike.
Oy.
Comme lo mentionne, il y a la celle el tol bla medial Hawaii lo hace pa cultura la se Palau is at war with we're at war with China. I can explain in English, say it's not about physical war, but since the pandemic, the Chinese tourists have been the largest share of our visitors and a major contributor to our GDP growth. You mentioned. So ngayon other abalo, especially to tour operators, small business, and tira rely on tourism. El bigit ko say ay kaya del toko el maral el wase katokora katangara ngayon makamadal dangal al sel mga adasina ang ngayon bol impact ngira ako ikel kada ngira ma ready mang always say nga sab evel ko ra administration ka wasab el kut maklil el address del concerns at del adal ko provide the services and book nga sige del part para tourism my small business.
So, aquí del mom dangle ase. Tegi der asina lo sogor tel number of tourists in Merbelo. And we have always been open. In fact, in Baimlania umrole del PVM legir el Mura Macau, mo attender sel Pata conference era adra sina ledina ergi del Mosoisabra Macau, and that was in June of last year. I got partra warfare tira amru. So in fact, bay nga upayo mesingil blitok. Kita the exposure asina al moragal tetelir, etira modinay, lo asendegi moruri. So by increase our tourist in Merbelo. So it depends on how you look at it. I don't think it will. Hindi ka nga sa tourist in Merbelo. Kada sina sorry in Merbelo, leng klabo ko leng wila balwat. We have attractions that they want to see. That's why they'll come. Sina tegidra statra 2016 in Merbelo trial maroba yero urte alar tourist in Merbelo. This tira adimi. So if anything, ngabay omesrilo ase ngabay teal ngabay mutel increase our tourist in Merbelo blur bela. Ila sina solo tira sende ako mamadagi morur tira gito.
Maldilas and follow-up question say, Mr. President, kami mention was a blue bella GDP dam la exceeded 300,000.
Real GDP.
Our real GDP is exceeded.
Nominal is almost 360 million or something.
Okay. Maka tarsel mora tiyato ko era minimum wage la si balgula sa ngungin marala era na mingira del raise a minimum wage. Ako tulo ule sel tel minimum wage able pasar ngira couple years ago mutya pailong el arak ang kulmutul mas at tel sel, right?
I see.
A question ilang awasi tel minimum wage ilangal well, first of all, sa GDP, ngarang ako total contributing factor mura GDP ra una ma GDP kita ilang ngarat 300 million ngaral industry.
Tourism, construction, well, and of course, we see military activity so that helps.
Yeah. So, sel follow up sel was say mang raise ra minimum wage at time and mo $5 across the board. Kakulo say dia kabol impact ngira aklangar at hindi kabol impact ngira cost of living ma cost of services, for example cost of services and kalborba ma cost of goods tanda kabol will it equalize maluwel tibolo si siwa value taludo da sumo the raise ngi because cost of everything else is going up, and then kita nga end the food chain.
So kami itong
Kora, say the question.
kamu abras, for example. Abras ang mamaring rasto. Telal basen tersel beras. Au duda laat, telal basen tri, amlora California or lora Thailand. Akum da so mesin darar sel beras. Amlora California, amlora Thailand. Ngi gari ringi asel cost of labor. So sem da se ralak klalo ang mas. Hindi kal ngasar sel krungel au duda laat leng sel input sel cost ra tial klalo. Ahmal gi gari ringi te mela other order. Or cost ra labor. Sel masa aigal service the provide. So mas ara la hotel. Yes, mas ara la construction. Most ra construction do lara mesois para sel ablur vela. Alpea ra other angodo albulu. I mean it's grants, it's other money. So by te alergidel make sure people get decent wages and we keep more al sel ablur. So sel mosado ra se ra la klalo mas. It's minimal compared to a benefit and what other by so they'll spend more, there'll be more in the economy. Tira more a restaurant than go elsewhere and they're spending money. So sell argument, it's an old argument. Tilal molgorin argument. Tayitra argument tral gotel bod pasra minimum wage in 1997. It was the same argument in 2013 and the same argument in 2023. Kita dapat ask the minimum wage, el mga lakara, what is bearable. So, unang close to tila mo said real GDP lo sa kategori elger. Mo said real wage. Sell real wage is kasi sell ne uchira imoklukara al sales versus imoklukara 2016. Ado mesra GDP emlame lamutel el mosisi. Diu do de la ad Adrigang Ario, or cell level or 2016, ilang wal blabon itut cell ne uchiri. So, wala ka dulong nga sa minimum wage, o ba selu de la adalo nga sa iyan merbam mo sa bel, niya mamalaswal wase, at least ting, mo sisiw, malubeng, tiba lang alak persera ang aram. So.
Sulang, Elson.
Sulang. Måste sätta in other balance other yeah.
I'm gonna ask and speak in English.
Sure.
Could you explain the considerations that guided Palau's government in making the UN vote in the towards the declaration on the peaceful settlement of the question of the Palestine?
Oh, the Palestine question.
Palestine, sorry, yeah.
Okay.
The considerations that guided Palau's government in making the decision.
Well, I think first of all, there's always two sides to every story. Kita dekada saying ablura Israel is kada support ablura Israel. No, kita support seluldas was endega ablu الجيراد المورني ملارا رعادة أم غادر تير keep them as hostages. So I'll make sure they come to a peaceful resolution. Sea mle positioner belaum, so we have continued to support the positioner of Bluram Reger, ma Israel up until this point. We know it's a complicated situation that has been going on for time. This is Exodus. Egypt, el borsel time. So it's a complicated issue. We, like all other countries in the world, want peace. We want lives saved and protected, and we want what's best. So what we do is we try to evaluate both sides, look at both sides, listen to both sides. And I think you're I'm going to reflect yourself. Understanding Israel has the right to defend itself from the hostilities and the atrocities that happen. So that's been the position.
Could you explain how maybe Palau's interests and values influenced his decision regarding the vote? You said it reflected our stance, or like the Israel protecting themselves. Can you explain how Palau's interests and values influenced our stancing?
So our position together, Israel has been the same since the beginning. It hasn't changed. I think what probably needs to be done is we need to reevaluate what is our position in Israel up until this point, based on our understanding of the situation, and we believe that decisional support Israel is the best path to peace and resolution around Israel. So there's two ways to look at solving the problem. We say, so it's a political question of how to ensure people can live with dignity, can live in peace, and our position has been to support Israel because lives and hostages are still at stake. And I think we've been waiting. And unfortunately, Hamas amla weaponized the blue. And that needs to stop. What you saying? And we have to come to a resolution. So.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Follow up question, Mr. President, question summer. Two paths in more peace. Obviously Israel has the Chesermi and Gaza and gusto namin ay denial and trira aid Murakasa that Israel is doing right now. So other belaw odious value peace, justice, and then innocent children being murdered. And we're not we don't have a solid stance on it.
There's, like I said, two sides to every story. The media, material other Israel, create propaganda to portray that's what's really what's happening. And material other blue. Hamas make sure that they're the ones preventing or making it difficult for people to get the assistance that they need. They themselves. To make Israel look bad. That's our understanding and what we've. So that's why I said we have to look at both sides of the story.
Okay, so Mr. President, Palestine is not being looked at enough by.
Well, I think it's being looked at more than the side of Israel.
By Palau, by us.
Huh?
By Gidel other Bela, the international media or others. Other Bela, like we have been step will vote with Israel, my US. I think it's at 98% the UN. And with the last voting, Palau is one of the remaining countries.
Yes.
So it's but
and I think just recently, I mean, that's why I said kita evaluate the evidence, kita the information, and things change. I cannot tell you what the vote will be tomorrow, but when we have been voting, it's based on the facts that we've seen. Now, I know recently, there's another, so the war crimes or something. And
Netanyahu.
Yeah. So we have to review that. Position or should we remain in the same position? Because now there's facts and other evidence I'm not told. So I think for me, we have to reevaluate the decision or was saying, is Israel giving us the full truth? Because right now, all we have is one side telling us one thing, the other side telling us the other.
So lang, Mr. President, just two more questions. One is about the comments that you've made around the statements that say peace through strength or presence is deterrence. And during the PIFE, I was able to witness the signing of the Ocean of Peace Declaration. And I wanted to know how these statements or perspectives align with the Ocean of Peace Declaration regarding the security of Palau, and then what the Prime Minister Manila was saying about Prime Minister Wabuka about demilitarization within the region or cooperating with international partners that may provide a security region again.
Well, I think at the end of the day, we want to maintain the status quo. And in order to maintain the status quo, you have to be prepared. Ablur vela Fiji o soldado, ablur alugile o soldado, ablur vela taka soldartir. Kita by serve US military protector ablur vela. So when it comes to our security and our defense, emblura mrigel umurar. So making sure that we're prepared to defend ourselves. Like kita mamdangila say, sila mora Fiji, they're not in an area that is strategic. Different perspective what it means to be ocean of peace. So to me, being prepared ensures that we maintain the peace that we enjoy.
Thank you. Last one. Last one. Sebelah question at the Troika press conference, the Minister of State Aitaro, and I was wondering if I could get your response as well about Palau signing or potentially signing the Rarotonga Agreement.
I don't know what his comment was.
Dilo say we're looking at it.
I guess that would be the correct response. I don't think we signed it.
Oh, yes, Marshall Islands was signing it. Mang narasel communique commend the Marshall Islands for signing it. So I was wondering if Palau was going to sign it in the future, or I guess we're still looking at it.
I think that's the correct response.
That's the correct response. Okay. Mr. President.
Thank you.
It's a long question. May amal tafa question or tervitado or tervita.
Minister Obiang, makikadil ata kukmoy gidil mara international, makura oba o mungulya tayo toriya kukmoy gidil mo, tulmer al saltial balwat. Arabialaw. Ako mesra Minister Victor, ma-minister mutulit malblakaran din musubo sel budget. Matingil wase kom roku lul mesra public hearing mo kam lang malwase tirkay kitirkan malim lakalol nga sir ka mami. La timlet taringira Jennifer Olgarila lulangi takme del 5 million on morangi. Sayid. Ma aktimo ngul mer sayid mal loreng ay toriol waseng moblo oil el guk tirek al mote al gaw amangi tabrar adarabalo. Legong mungkuk public hearing kami ru omulto dra proposed budget altang mo o sabihin mo ngosugi the rokuy le kamamsal kim ngarsen diakal complaints tial to ram legal complaints ako di wasen kal Jennifer ma Irene na di adra monday dia kamamahmal di messengers, egel lom dulsa da concerns rigita atarabalu osingem ra eka na mirigite etay torio aseng malungil it's growing yakuk osingira atarabalu makamamal gora atarbela gora magkakresyo para kamam akuk tiakal talgibel ngot selo singem el all time kita tiga dengan atarbela rokul kada dionga laga makadanga alsel tiarro me minister Victor medangal waset turwat amle elle ngil basrir erwat akuk mle elle abul kau mga kita itorio matchanifer malumaral wase kita Kristiano tial klibela kita mal Josisiu kita mar Kristiano armetet aol nga sew ar maabul seya angar alir ya gukar maabul al bebelet numero laureor al dia kadil min umumay sa ul ngar segit al reng rakli ibelaw mel al time kadatiak al ulel kadakora diapat tial taler sign minister obiang المصادر وسيا successor up masyobay maral selebela maklakang godang maekanami atingar saygi del dollar sign maktioba omungul maldingoy gid el gukmer al selebelwa de wase olingit el wase ki gukmo keregelger el guk masadar al selebelwa ra teletelel au sasor al selebelwa el al time.
So gala did first responder mora au dudirar adal tir aurio tirgeya qotel al ngasol yadegar defender tir len tel adal ushoba di said wasen telalom dawder tir mungar alela qabal men tel mosoba qiltri ara adal aurio and that's why there's a minimum wage to set a floor al help ringel qotel mitut
Akbalo mararakaw sel duloy se taitoriole kau mga kamitangel wasengar aledalo nga ser tirgel nga sol.
I see.
Mahal di bok address til alblam dali. So the 17,000 people el kira al selbelaw. Arelol meltela la adrangot al belu. Sel minimum wage tir o mo mas kli malakal mo ngas ay kaluduti raw remittance mo blurir. Sel paramol maluwak mo rega restaurant ta adrangot al belu atang okra al sel lo mungur. Kit ara aterbelaw ang kakay nga sera alabul. Asyuka nga kita ruwa o mga Jennifer marwa akamaldi lumangarang matya lulsasul ko sa taringi olingit taringi se ditangara alsela balwat ekukto sodi seigit eklibelargit maklay nga seorgit nung tikal ngarang at 3,000 government employees a regular paycheck kamamil gukora di atara palul yakim regular paycheck at nangutiala al di mo blanket taringil mora rogul at mam en kamama atrangot al belu o dol merma
bas kag example tel business regalo sen tel ara aurior ngara impact ringi gam help perang mo understand
elan biak ngatial gora di gukti I adraur shobar nga ka maraniak ngatial mal gora di ngirira dirigel malus pe anya so takal spil ngatiang Mendira kal supel guk morning at lela Mr. Ngira guk mo smo diesel to guk employment. Nga kangartialo lingit tulwase.
So let me just get something very clear, Irene. Kitsel the rule of policy. We should use the best information, the best experts, and facts. Sel the rule of decision. So kita awulang matamalabalo. Sel the rule feeling. Sector se feeling, it's not based on sound economic policy.
Ako sa taringi tayo feeling.
Mengar alef, los pe ayidel lungil information, masaba akrar avel tir ospe anges. That's our job.
Why say tayo again? Selbotosa.
So what's your question? What's your question?
Malbatok.
Are you debating or that's why I'm asking.
Akmok mo rokul question na nga kami amo emro kami error say kita kami understand mo ngel.
Because you're making a statement, not a question. That's why I'm asking.
Malbatok ka question na nga dito ko raul saso.
Okay,
makabas ka kate al sa dimle opening nga kita tutorial wasen lamo mere karwa oson ma international affairs. Ako lingit mo kutang raal sa labalwat edang arsel ngiyak li ibela orgit. O yasal ngiyak li ibela orgit ang bal atter Kristiano. O ay mang diakadosada ati ngak ngartialom te erar botok. One example ra erak opener self first question selon longit mlegirel serabol gobit mentilo bata 20 million al mora private sector. Ikamya soyi super obis sel mlobingel sewa se laboral employees lerul da private kelbui lel iwai rablirir other belal employers ama akati til melat ertir mgral dia kau tau dir maktingu seigi del picture engun mer el all time etiagi da hotel ger.
So let's just be clear. Mnaria assistance, el mora are other mnaria loan or tier. Mnaria assistance, el mora local business owners through WIA that were affected.
Ngakatar tirigel serak por WIOA. Itorio to se kami self-employed el other belau at yakam eligible. Beelen tiyak de borsele se kadalala to ko el kloat el malel dimlakal
$50 million came into Palau, emle helper tola. So let's
employees.
No, there was a lot of other dirigal.
Eren tiyak the debate itorio I know I lift it. Aknar sel matingel waseng tokar kamam. Then I get a question. First question was PGS still 10% lulmura January 1st, 2023. Michael our other kera gablirid ay gal gablil ay gal tulungal ka el tira malukol waseng malgora marredes aklangar el ang aralaklal rapal la basics ma gera timora tims kami rokul mamre kami am unger akera mor kaya taitorio ma cabinet terkau tirgal ko ngara alay kay gital tokoera ako finance lwase sabiiw awangit trabulul wasem gora mo kamit gora mo kukmo gut maklisel gora tatul wasem relief sel gora mo ngo sutrira ar tirgay gital other belaul ker belaul gora mredasa aralak lalo legal basics el tokoera kal el mortir yal sabiiw ang amo oy ngerang esel sabiiw rulia example sabiiw temporary tax rate at sabiul ako pora ako ngay pataka kay nga suro kilpalul kwatal giblong yang ati.
So let's give you some examples, because mal ka mga la question and we already know the question. You want to adjust the taxes.
Hindi ako kiolitra temporary cut.
Yeah. So the sel mosadra sendiga ang yeson more other blue. Ikomula ka other blue. What we've been doing is doing everything and help other blue. We've given them tax breaks. In fact, our businesses and Miguel business got huge tax breaks. Why say we reformed the tax el period so 50,000 or less. What do you have to pay now? So I'm asking you a question. Do you know how much do you have to pay now? A business that earns 50,000 or less. How much tax do they have to pay? Thank you. So before, elam di pay tax.
I think
Our other law, tamle pay tax before if you're below 15,000. Now how much are they paying?
Nothing.
Yeah. So other musura 15 to 30,000. Do they get a tax break? Yes. I gave the assistance and more. And then on top of that, our other order, we've raised their salaries. Our other tira, we've raised their self benefit for $100 at time and $250 a month. We've helped people, not only students, our other lomura awum, ra school, they had lunch, breakfast. We've also extended our program and help our other model. Now, as in the opinion ngira, as elul the sweater as help our model, help them with meals. So there's lots of programs. Our problema, kita oktiomes rabital side em labes wase, ayay kita yel kagaro sa program el help our other belar el adsins.
Okay, seguk timle o nitra atara blue
Yes.
me o
So
tax rate talgibel morio.
Let's be clear about something. Sell le proposal here sell legal was bodun mo 5%.
Semle proposal ka ma'am originally.
Okay. Let's talk about 5%. So at all time through PAGST you collect $40 million. Mm-hmm. If you drop it to 5%, it means you lose $20 million in revenue. So tell me, Luase, what programs are you going to cut? Because that's what it amounts to. And abay giral blakatakal bomodong aliya kasi if you
Dia
yeah.
ka bereng kora kwaltal dapat kal talk show kami mo ko ra maluwilar mo dal.
Remember, it's a press conference.
Press conference kami mo
Kahaladik finish, eh? So, sell cut their tax rate, and they can borrow other below. 70% the sell without the remote are sell tel below, from tourists, from every foreigner tel below, would also get the same reduction. So, kita rin was eh, kita by sumakli tel toy, makadala ka traw daw dal, may ang nga daw, ekatas help per mas mokla, help per other below. Hindi, what you're proposing, adiak, may by the belti, it help per other blue, it help per to this reduce expense tin marablu below. And the reason why we're collecting more tax now is kadam nat mig tagal amars, البلاني ايغال بتقول شو بقى عن blue ngara sila blue below. Hindi ka dollar share gidra to tourism.
Hindi wala por ang error question.
Ato,
Okay, ang error question na kung ko ra power ma water eh. Kalbils ra. Engi maral mang agi matingal ataplulo sa PPUC mle raise sa tariffs el arak. Imlan nga ikel subsidies ul guk mlo expire sa April 1st. Mang sa igidol gukol ngilul mo ra house et tira kukuram le propose raw ab SL utility support el arak el mortial bill. Mang ako kora di gerar atrablu ase ako ngrasab el talgibel relief el kora ngesul gukmora di ngakamal di masada di el self tial balwadal yakal tourist di other belaw tira other belaw el kora ay gal bill sa tira kalel guk ngariya sab el executive branch el gukora sacrifice ringi gukper a minister of iang kukul kora mo studira atrablu gal tengi maral martir.
Yeah. So if you're raising them 75 cents an hour and you're giving them a 10% increase, again they can guess.
10% increase or other governmental loader more foreign workers. Like I said, foreign workers
anyway,
are remittance.
a problem hindi ka mo mesangyeso. Refuse no mesangyeso. Now, maybe to you personally, because you're self-employed, so maybe we have to have a program self-employment, business owner. So I'm just so kautial oger, makadukay sila say I get a program and help for other bela.
$40 a month.
Yes.
At 250 dividing at 12 months and direct mal kaya may malti on career at blue can member matami ako matigimil mo at o cabinet nga kadalito selva sa territorio potakay nga sol imol blue.
So it's sad to hear say gada kaludo because it is money.
O hindi kita klibelar kita nakatito sa dito tandi anyes.
Well, kautial masada do din some you want more. I'm confused. Kautial wasente ka mo spela ko anyway.
Am I not allowed to ask more questions?
You're not asking questions. You're making statements. So.
Hindi say eres sure Moses sa mama di host ringi nga kablel es nga kablulo sa may kalgarim el malmoger executive branch. Kami ako takal sa milo public hearing. Hindi yung nila eska rest kami upam answer ruriw at your own time.
Oh, because you want to debate. It's not
hindi ako debate the president. Iga questions at tourism recovery, mga at COFA funds, trust fund. Hindi.
So, ask the question.
Hindi ako hindi ako tutalel. Hindi ako tutalel doge. Hindi tiya del government di kurstal. At ang government tayo daro ko.
Oyan. Kadimo blakatak. So ask just one sentence. Ask the question and I'll answer and let's go to the next one.
At tourism recovery, may kale arrivals up year and year 2025 Australia Palau na extend with federal support. Ang rapora plan Mga minister nila, lock in ang routes. Diversify our source markets until 2026. Say yaker. El sel mongo sugit el kora moringa igegit el do concrete targets for total arrivals. Egita dikaw tinga rokul waseng China mal patogum. Hindi ra kal ako mo sa bes mo din basta hunter mo.
So let's just start. I asked for a specific question.
Say
You
again.
want him to explain
What's
the
the
whole
plan to lock in routes
Okay.
and diversify source?
Hal. If you want a plan and you want a detailed report, balon ito say, magpasa tayo minister, mutuon malego ra sure ko, and he can give a complete plan of tourism because that's what you need.
Di ako pwede nga kalaan mo off island, pwede kong blasi mo kami.
Makapura next. Let's go to the next one.
Okay, COFA funds, Matras Fund. Palau received, Sera 2025, a COFA grants. Mal report to sell strong trust fund rebound. How much has actually hit the treasury to date? Matela Ludo, and what's earmarked for cost of living relief and private sector growth? And what guardrails ensure transparency? Next.
Okay, Hal. Yeah, that's a question. So let's be clear.
sabihin mo,
Let's be
Mr.
clear. Ngawil mo understand the budget process, makampak. Mal clear a process, clear ay girudo do aseng gira dros pen magarang. Amrigela in the compact agreement said gira tor hospital, ma security, education, and climate change. So ngila request ko, hindi giludo da trust fund, adekal boray gay. And we can only get 15 million from the trust fund per year. Again, ludo trakampak taklil waseng area 20 million per year. So mat mag 35 million. And then there's another 10 million ludo spending it on maintenance my infrastructure. Again, though, this has been repeated many times. So one of the things, Irene, you're here as media. So you should be asking questions. And these are good questions because in Clara Ringarablu, so they can be separate discussions that you can come and we can one by one and masal. Okay? Sulang.
Segidol guknek sa sele governance and payment issues at agencies. Tialahok mabudula Minister Victor. Ar adra ser sulwase. Pokora maldim lo se el antimo card only payments tiaka kukora concrete plan at tial government lo se kalel sabel gora vouchers ang ramel bol gora rural rural producers mo gora talgi bulbel tire tiya ulsas rar atabela abu
Ngarang kela question ni Irene.
na self question na waseng tiaka gora concrete plan ang government gora mo help girel say dito self long dali the last press conference the card only ngari ako gora plan the ministry rakal gora mo help para rural producers of course ang nga tiyak local nga abule right to real other assets tiyak local tiyak odudi rabang
So self question nga girel self payment ra kala arma.
ako sa nga concrete plan para improve sa idil was self kum tadi card only uktirgal tiyak card tir tiyak dimle kardir was ka pong
Ya ngungil gera munginaman mo o meselo sa tamalwa telar tirgal la addresser samaral de lugar and then sumamal address ri
masang angal alim mo
ngar alala ministry
Edi kal sel mo taw dal mo di po sangar alet an mo pay ba kari ngin advice
investigation na ongoing morial to takla and then agorta mo decide lo asa kada magarar sa igidel.
So tell requirement card is not an uncommon thing. It's one way to ensure arala klalo at murabang ka account tedekal borang udal basyo. So it's a security issue and yes, point well taken to find other ways and most integral other help. Maybe one option Victor said to talabak cash they'll come to the National Treasury, they can pay more voucher mura. That's something we can work.
Yes,
Thank you for the suggestion.
There's options but gimla mo dura adra sers lo marakala la arme gora dimla ka adel el kwase mo das mam lom arling hindi ka kardra mam abay mli issue tira kwase al sumagi go mong ulwada dengi al sumagi go hindi ka wifi magi kwase in those instances and sa mamel melara cash payment. Dakal every del. So hindi mlaka kung rumamel masing dakal sabihin mem arling dakal ukar. Mong bay mla issue tira kasi ako kimego melaka blalmada dengim lo itel ngari al press conference dim le kyul mada dengim mo dakalo arakale la. So ngari a solution behind the passing al sum tumeng that's the situation agi aga moditra agi alara ada malaka dudel lo lap lengul bakar del meng mada dengi agi kasi mo ala armem within 24 hours ako payment tel me. So siya ako plug him agreeing it kasi mo ay siya telel.
Okay. So, sulang na suggestion, I'm sure.
Tiagida, the last two. A president sa atrabulo ang milokor our senator sa last week at editorial was etamal mo itrak low lutudir regal basic needs sakal matengki maral suwer tawa a question tira se pomogero se ngarinya kora immediate actions ra kuk el alquarer sab el gora talgibel help payroll tax tweaks al uben gora wage supports tiang has nothing to do with minimum wage. Sometimes sa selo kurang ngaring apay sa ambrong raplu ngaring igal kukura relief. Marosa ala kalutaw ng vouchers sumda ang trust ate kung vouchers ang ral garel kita ta welfare system ding self libelar kita kay nga seul. If there's anything that you executive grants.
High Q ngari ako ra high Q bodo rose ngara ako ra siya ako ra.
Kami alas yung doswiya, lakal high Q ang ngarangklel.
So, once again, Irene, I just want to remind you, there are so many programs and blada sa the legal was a mrur al time and help prara.
Okay, malungin.
Malakatangara dianayal was a decal help prara. And we're continuing to increase our duty and help prara.
Why say, akmal lobangem tila.
So, what is happening October 1st? Wages are going up.
Ngomasin daring territorio ereng mo riule ka mga kalmuto debate daring omasin daring amortal foreign workers
there's 12,000 employees that are in the government and private sector and their wages are going up October 1st. That's what's happening.
Okay, tiya kita last question. For a bonus question, aging ilusel dissemination the information ra J Hunter Anson sele kora wasebom karikik ra heightened cybersecurity. Yang ka mal appreciate ta rela che leng oil send ay kay kitan me magigo ko meron kan marabalung marata mo betul mo ibe kora mela say gidol kuk mlelere ringa o ay sulwase egal 25,000 files. Lokong lehak tematamal rakuk Ministry of Finance ma ministry ra super minister ay kay gitol files ako ra kera wase ay kang ang ra value ring files tela nga sel mal value ring files nga internal investigation maral giden ngaringa LR atrablo also kung katatomal lay kay gite kami ako police ra kamami a minister Olgarila matengil Esel ko kung matamal ra alsel ay government agencies sa tukulat arbulis ra alsel say yakir.
Let's just be clear. Cyber warfare is happening. It's a real thing. So what we need to do is we need to educate ourselves because people get hacked, people get cyber scams, they get all kinds of things. Adam opened a file or got phished or whatever, they didn't do it intentionally. It's lack of information. The reason why share information on Mararat, help Mararat and make so they're informed, so it doesn't happen. Hospital. I mean, this is all about us getting better at what we do. So, wala adal mle open ra asim idim na ko singa adro babo es metmul me marora rablik that's idim na kalo tingi
Lansum ka tamara courthouse nga niya ikal title ra atome da makaskalit Minister of Health dire kal atarala. Yang masya sa courthouse magdemo ti ka daptik. Taangkel nga alera al sa governmental waseng ay kang ra value ringi nga niya investigation ringi to what our responsible gid. Ta tirgan ko police or alsen internally.
I don't know, we have a special prosecutor, we have a,
I get you one there like yung ilusal wabero sa 25,000 files ra Ministry of Finance and the MHRCTD.
adal miror, ang ara, Russian ara, sinang argir.
Ngaw kaya kung miltumal anyway according to Jay.
No.
I trust him.
No. Yeah, no, what they're explaining, I said the system was hacked. We know hospital was hacked, Ministry of Finance was hacked, information was taken. What I say? Sil Gombali or individual mlehakarid or government. We don't have a way of going after them at this point.
Dia kar adra bulu dire kal kwa ngari suspicion lo se kalel kwa ngari om darbas al sela unta di es kara kal se kati pa mutial kaya mul mustari tira titil momdas o ay sa bulu lo se.
Okay, dia ngungin makatangartiya, makamos model sa dia ko mga darbas. Ar adal maror, mar adal marula makit, adi ngari ra bulu adal liwek. Matiga ngara ikre la buluat, emal mal lergid. Magita gira dan ngara ledan mombang ira se, makarado orer sergid, mdi kal tamar. That's the hackers. That's what we're.
Ko totomali private tol company rigit ka totmal mormurte. May latya ko kyal ngarngil MOF ministry super ministry. Hindi kal company hindi ka kloklet at peloro ko maul matokel wase. Ay kang rabalyo ra. Like 25,000 files ma. Is there investigation going on? A minister, super minister, mletcha ka aktir, amla tomal legal files. I think that's the question.
Hindi mo ka other alsera ministry toma legal file. Ang ada tirul.
From afar?
From afar. Hindi ka narbelaw.
Diri ka babir. Ya kali gargara harwa wilter am lesigra felel ya jaget teringira 1972 angar alsela file. Ay gal dosa da kukngara kada track kada malas mo digital. Mung sometimes nga niya hacking mo kuk mo solve cell problem mo niya firewall mga rarigid. We're working towards that. So objective ra HR lang at malas mo transform babir el mo digital. So that's what was damaged. A physical file adir ka madel. Dir ka file mo ito.
Okay, so lang.
Sulang mau subes. Minister iya kora mal so al mutal te al merenga sulu raigel crosswalk al ngarbitara Long Island the markings. Akora di ol ngitol wase pol sa egul kora o Mr. Selle Kortial PVA ser guktoral mo rang mala legumes el alblal po stoang ar cell building ra IA engora mal beto kar local lemran mo cross mal sab il gora o Mr. Say mesel bitara west rang mala legumes ang mal beto kar tourist met cross me arakal el return ma PRR ma cove mal sugum sab il gora di take that into consideration. Ding malungil ko mal masaw mal gumisar at mal exercise uspe ay crosswalk ngarbitara minato basi Long Island makumsulang ka umaragam President ang guaramaral me Independence Day di kutial te alle ku ay sula sing dim lal cancel about race ang morngi ma akora di ol ngitel wase sa etel goradi kay ngeseura asambas endi giorder lobang kela minister ngira yem lam kat mo klaro huy yakmal merenga sulela ara kamsik surang whip senior blol lol nga sera air traffic kama asambas mesep edel gora kay nga ser segit endi ro kulto ko ya ram la materialize makting ukyate alle o ay so sen morngia about race next week Sunday oy makadakora coordinate ko mal masawle dito ngitangya sa rabli pulis atang madigay gide ko mal masulang Irene ali selula klat grama dalarak o mali o mga malang mesma o mungula. At ako malmusulang.
Father Sal, may mga kapatid subes nga katanya tayo to.
Why say?
Usually, tama malapit sa may. Hindi ako mamamahal.
President, ako radio ngitul wasing mlaringia tigal ngal gamlar sel ABC training for 1 year before the games. Mlaringia ikel donation rakia mera ya PNO siam lang may. Ewal ngara storage. Makoro ol ngitul wasing goram ralmea Independence Day ma OBF. Hindi hal sabi amal mga dadurar ada PNOC ebol sa bariya del may ospe rapo trace ma OBF. Eng mering larmo tamlara training e ko rawal di blal mata.
Se ora lam le grant ra blur Australia.
Oo,
Hindi
hindi.
na kalbura PNO sim lora
Hindi
help
ako
ra mi.
wala ka PNOC.
Hindi kalbura help ra media ra blur bela. Bragi mo find out.
Yeah. Ata, magkoratis mo.
Yeah. Okay. Diam sula. I'll talk to
Bring lar.
Ambassador Sharp. Am legiral mo dora ministers matu lora di update rigidra. OBF real orale. No dia kadar mo stia conference.
Supes el presidente aklo masal sa hacking. So, nagkuklo to sa galbo ni. So,
Mamamahal like president.
Vice Presidente Irene Comral Saura Galgarib,
Thank you.
Tial Maral Mil Independence Day OBF, ang kita Miss Jennifer Mlo Aistrigidal wasing mo malmol masayidal annual boat race mo September 28 el sil Maral Mil Sunday. Ese di moro susul pasul maradid. So que Jennifer direk lawreng asulel la kabenor orior, kabenor airay. Mosquita el both sides ra adit men sa drospe e mon wase orgid ra day market ter seguid el sales aktirek el low isel wase sel guk pol Monday sel September 29 e gad mo launch si Irene makulngit te kami sel sustainable tourism strategy yak mo mas kakapirngi mo mal mongil meset mo mga ratele la to kora akal kang kodang argid ese direk el morngi gidele turnover regular tablol bus project rigid majaika murura public transportation system el kalau manggil sel tiplan nga negel evil mga arbitra civic center el kal namurngi sel mo day 3 September 30 el longeru lurior en morning sel asil belau conference ese di tansils morning na bayra mayong mal mga madawra rukul other belau memadobong ese timringi adre kal tukura health bom bukt reng sa umil tukol girel la health rigid esel mo wal onge wal sils el October 1st amo onge de lurior esegit sa nganing sel close ceremony gid so kung talte ala de klauren sulela CEO Eric Whips ma surang lensan sa skit sel close tento mang mulmol mga kapitol el bornya ulan dia kabul da ala gida gero state amo marula gida le border til maleliwek direkal fireworks sa direkal di mo segit lo sisul basyo direkal mal mga dawra adro good mal may gi murura plan el ang mon nga bas murtor orior el mong ay win ndi am simba parking mal di mas rapas may sel mo mga ongingil tiang amo sel Friday October 3rd in mon nga kel state ro will dadakalo murtal event ra Independence Day am namot magawas ing mon nga coastal clean up patamot makaro we mo Pekal state amo clean up mero mira ora ikel kula tabir seguide presidente ora taitang plan lang manya meeting rel al team no mata press conference makting umrege morngi mo finalize ake kidrogul details e hopefully sa bekal mre adlo tawd mar arab laman mumdagi seguide presidente kamsula
Sula. Sula ministra. Rodrigo Mlara Solomon. Amle theme amle you meet together. You and meet together. Okay? Emro kada mera lugile. President Marape ase we work together and walk together. Mang aknilo ase bebra time kakarusa ordasyon. But most important is that makal kaya sew mag mga sulam may Irene na question or ma suggestion or kao e mal open el legora toksyo mo dal mutel mal sma dal mradit
President Medik Tilia Timbergit comment. A Timbergit Jennifer a kluguk am lukrair eli. A kluguk am lukrair eli.
Nice.
You
So-
meet together.
You need to so close to tell a reminder ka Irene. We want to make sure that nobody is left behind.
Yes.
Hindi ka adal mo oit mang ngakaroso sa ngeta ra aralo sa kita maral budul ger tuata obangget. Okay, hindi kita malas mo ger kurba bal sebedro se tiel bilas taktir arbek laat kadi mongir rogo. And that's I think our ultimate goal mang sulang na ger bitokol suggestion and hindi kalso mangidil adal mo oit. And that's so Tugubetsel happy birthday. Mortigel tira man masyori da bakal sil semeral sil se taga matsu amacho ngara officer Polaris. Taga. Happy birthday. Charlotte Higa. Gangarsel kwam katsil tiga maldi atanat. Edwina Ngirailin. Kasen Sergi ngara Harris. Kenny Singabao nga ngara MOJ ngara transnational crime. Darin Daryl Elwise. Ngara MHHS behavioral health. Ma Alvin Adalbay, kadiri ka ngara MHHS Behavioral Bureau of Health. Naman, wish them happy birthday. Tira rogol na birthday tira this week. God bless you all. Naman di mga sula Dios ra. Kabo ko lengil balwat. Matele del kiel ngara democracy gayu all taul deswe debate. Because that's what makes us better. All of us together. Sula.
You and me.
You and me. Okay.